All right, so for this game, it looks like we have what is effectively just an in and out game. Essentially, we've got a bunch of people that are going to be assigned to one or the other of these two courts. So we have the appellate side and we have the trial side. And then from there, I guess, yeah, the elements themselves, we have our H, J, K, L, M, O, P. And in terms of spacing, we are given a loose kind of limitation. We don't know exactly how many spaces are going to be on each side, but we do know that the appellate side will have a maximum of 3, while the trial side is going to have a maximum of 6. And it's already worth noting, just based on this alone, that, I mean, the trial side is barely restricted at all. We can have almost everybody there except for 1. But the appellate side, the fact that there's only 3 spaces available there, that is kind of limiting. In fact, we could even kind of take a step further here. We can say that since at least one person is not going to go on trial, since we have a maximum of 6, then there's going to have to be at least one person on the appellate side. And likewise, even if we max out the appellate side, that's 3 people, we're going to have the other people, at least 4 people on the trial side. So I guess that's something we can start with that. But from there, let's take a look at the rules. So the first rule tells us that L has to go to appellate. So I guess we can just say L goes to appellate, and we can plug that right into the board. We're also told that K has to go to trial. So same kind of deal. K must be on the trial court. We can plug them in as well. And lastly, H cannot be on the same court as P. So essentially H and P simply cannot be together, which really, I mean, if they can't be together, the practical implication here is that we're just going to have one of them on each side. So on the appellate court, we'll have to have one of H or P, and on the trial court, we're going to have one of H or P. In fact, it's worth noting that at this stage, the appellate side, once again, is quite limited. Really, we've resolved 2 spaces to some degree. We really only have 1 extra space available on the appellate side, so that's kind of nice. From there, though, let's take a look at the questions. So question number 1 asks what could be a complete setup of the game, and as usual, we do these by the original rules. First rule is that L has to go to appellate, so right away A gets disqualified. That was quick. B is good, C is good, D is good, and E is good as well. They all have L on appellate. Next, K has to go to trial, so let's see if anything violates that. B looks good, C does not. K does not go on trial for C. And D and E both have K on trial, so we're good. Lastly, H and P cannot be together, so answer choice B has them together. We can get rid of B. Answer choice D has them together again on trial, and E does not. E has them separated. So the best answer here to number 1 becomes answer choice E. And as usual, we may as well just plug that into the board. Answer choice E says LP go on appellate, and then everybody else, we have H, J, K, M, O, we're going to go on trial. From there, let's take a look at the local question. So it looks like the one local question that we have here is question number 4. If O goes to appellate, well, let's take a look. I mean, we already know that L and K are in their respective spots, but if O is also on appellate, oh, well, wait a minute, we know that H or P has to also be on appellate, right? So that kind of locks out the appellate court. There's no more room there. So now everybody else, including H or P, as well as who's left, we have J and M, everybody else is going to have to go to the trial court. So to the question now, which of the following now must be true? Answer choice A, H goes to appellate. Well, no, H and P can still flip. Answer choice B, J goes to appellate. Nope, in fact, that's outright false. Next, J goes to trial, and there it is. J does, in fact, have to go to trial. The best answer to question number 4 is C. For the record, answer choices D and E. When it comes to Perkins, we don't actually know which side P goes on. He could still flip, so that would have disqualified both D and E. Next, let's go back to the global question. So question number 2. Which of the following cannot be true? So we're looking for what must be false. Let's take a look. A, H and M are both going to appellate. Could we have H and M both to appellate? Well, obviously we haven't seen that yet, but I mean, if H takes up this placeholder, I mean, we could potentially fit the M there as well, and there's barely any rules, any restrictions, so why couldn't that happen? Answer choice B. M and O are both on appellate, and there we go. This, you'll notice, is not going to work because we don't have room for them. On appellate, we can only have a maximum of 3, and we've already got 2 spaces reserved, right? So if M and O were both to go on appellate, they would take up positions 3 and 4, and we cannot do that. So to the question of what cannot be true, the best answer here is B. Next, question number 3. Which of the following, once again, cannot be true? Let's take a look. Answer choice A. J and M are both going to go to appellate. All right, I guess they're going to make this pretty easy for us, aren't they? No, we can't do that because we know that J and M, we don't have room for them on appellate. They would have to take up 3 and 4, and that doesn't work. The best answer to question number 3 is answer choice A. Just in case, let's take a quick look at the rest. Answer choice B, J and M both go to trial, and, well, trial is wide open. There's plenty of room on trial, so that easily could have happened. Answer choice C, M and O both go to trial, and again, why not? There's plenty of space here to accommodate both M and O. Answer choice D, M and P both go to appellate. That could have been okay because this could have been a P, and then M would have been number 3. And answer choice D, M and P both go to trial, and that's easily possible because there's plenty of room there. So once again, the best answer to question 3 was A. Next, question number 5. Which of the following, if we subbed it for the rule that H and P are not together, would have the same effect? So we're looking to replace this rule right here, the one that says that H and P are not going to be together. Now, just as a reminder, in terms of what we're looking for as a good answer choice to replace this rule, we are looking for something that always had to be true given the original set of rules, and something that, if it's true, would ensure that these guys will never be together. That's something that will ensure that restriction. Let's take a look. Answer choice A. H and P can never be on appellate together. Now, for the record, that is true. H and P obviously could never go on appellate together because they could never go together at all. But you'll notice that this answer choice isn't good enough because simply telling us that they cannot go on appellate together still allows for them to both go on trial. So this answer choice would have allowed for them to be together, but it would just have to be on trial. So answer choice A is not good enough. Answer choice B. If H is not on trial, then P must be. Now, this should be kind of a familiar kind of pattern of a rule. This is basically saying that between H and P, at least one of them is going to have to go to the trial court. That if you don't have one of them on trial, then the other one would definitely have to be on trial. But this, as an inclusive relationship for the trial court, this easily allows for them both to be on trial. You'll notice that this answer choice doesn't tell you what happens if H was on trial. It only tells you what happens if he wasn't, which means as far as this answer choice is concerned, if H was on the trial court, P perhaps could have been there still, in which case they would have been able to go to trial together, and so that wouldn't be good enough to ensure that they are never together. Answer choice C. If P goes to the same court as J, then H cannot. Now, I suppose that's true because P could never go together with H period, but you'll notice that answer choice C only applies if P happens to be with J. So if P was with J, then yes, H would have to go to the other court. But if P wasn't with J, this rule doesn't really tell you what to do. So this leaves open the possibility that anytime P isn't with J, then P could have been with H. And so again, this wouldn't have been good enough to prove that H and P will never be together. Answer choice D. If H goes to the same court as L, then P would have to go to the same court as K. So that's true. I mean, anytime H was with L over here, for example, not for example, always, then P would have had to go to K. That's absolutely true. But the thing is, again, you'll notice that this answer choice only tells you what happens if H is with L. But what if H wasn't with L? What if H ended up going to the trial court? This rule doesn't tell you what to do. So this rule easily allows for the possibility that when H is with L on trial, then perhaps P could have been there as well. This doesn't say otherwise. So again, D would not be good enough to ensure that they'll never be together. Answer choice E, cross your fingers. No three of H, K, L, and P can be together. So first of all, I guess one question that might raise, is that true that no three of those guys could ever be together? And technically, yeah, because you'll notice that between H, K, L, and P, essentially what would always happen is that we would have two of them on each side. We would have L with one of them here and K with one of them here. So it is absolutely true that we could never have three of these guys together. But then the other question is, if we implemented this as a rule, would this ensure that H and P will never be together? And actually, yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Because the thing is, we know that L is on the appeals court, right? And if this is saying that you can't have three of H, K, L, and P, that means that L could never go with H and P together. So H and P will never be together on appellate. But the same thing applies to trial, because since K is already here, we can't have another two of H and P. So we could never have K, H, and P together on trial, so they'll also never be together there. This means that no matter what, we will never have H and P together on either side. So the best answer to question number 5 is E.